A very good evening to all of you. You're watching News Tonight. My name is Aditi Nagpal Girotra. Before we go ahead, let's take a look at the headlines. US President Donald J. Trump arrives to a grand welcome in Ahmedabad. Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives America's first family at the airport, says Trump's visit has opened a new chapter in India-US relations. Splendid Namaste Trump event at Motera Stadium sets a stage for deepening bonds of Indo-American relationship to rousing cheers by over 1 lakh people. American President Trump calls India a true friend, says nation is growing fast under Prime Minister Modi's stewardship. US President pays tribute to Mahatma Gandhi at Sabarmati Ashram, spins a charkha with white millennia. Thousands of people line up along the 22-kilometer route from the Ahmedabad airport to Sabarmati Ashram to welcome the Trumps. Family also visits Agra city and Taj Mahal. After a formal reception at Rashtrapati Bhavan in Delhi tomorrow, American President to hold summit meet with Prime Minister Modi, declaring a joint fight against terrorism. Trump announces $3 billion military deal, both countries to sign many other important agreements as well. And no place for violence in democracy, says Vice President Venkaiah Naidu at the 32nd convocation of Goa University, urges youth to move forward with positivity and creativity. And now let's take a look at Trump's visit to India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump addressed a gathering of more than 1 lakh people at the Sardar Patel Stadium in Motera on Monday. As PM Modi welcomed Donald Trump with a hug at the Namaste Trump event, the chemistry between the two leaders was fully evident as the two leaders heaped praise on each other in front of an enthusiastic crowd at the refurbished Motera Stadium.
मैं 130 करोड़ भारतीयों की तरफ से प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप को निमंत्रित करता हूं। नमस्ते ट्रंप।
Namaste. Namaste.
During his speech, President Trump highlighted the shared values and traditions between India and the USA and the future of bilateral relationship. He quoted Swami Vivekananda and paid tributes to Indian icons, including Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
Today, Prime Minister Modi is the tremendously successful leader of this vast Indian Republic. The story of the Indian nation is a tale of astounding progress, a miracle of democracy, extraordinary diversity, and above all, a strong and noble people.
During his nearly 30 minutes long speech, Trump also announced a $3 billion defense deal between the US and India.
Pleased to announce that tomorrow our representatives will sign deals to sell over $3 billion in the absolute finest state-of-the-art military helicopters and other equipment to the Indian Armed Forces. I believe that the United States should be India's premier defense partner, and that's the way it's working out. Together we will defend our sovereignty, security, and protect a free and open Indo-Pacific region for our children and for many, many generations to come.
The US president added that India and the US are working to defend their people from the threat of radical Islamic terrorism and boost defense cooperation.
Every nation has the right to secure and controlled borders. The United States and India are committed to working together to stop terrorists and to fight their ideology. For this reason, since taking office, my administration is working in a very positive way with Pakistan to crack down on the terrorist organizations and militants that operate on the Pakistani border.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said President Trump's visit to India with his family shows strong ties between the two nations.
21वीं सदी में नए अलाइनमेंट, नए कंपटीशन, नए चैलेंजेस और नई अपॉर्चुनिटीज बदलाव की नींव रख रहे हैं। ऐसे में भारत और अमेरिका के संबंध और सहयोग की 21वीं सदी के विश्व की दिशा तय करने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका होगी। मेरा स्पष्ट मत है कि भारत और अमेरिका नेचुरल पार्टनर है। हम सिर्फ इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन में ही नहीं बल्कि पूरी दुनिया की पीस, प्रोग्रेस और सिक्योरिटी में एक प्रभावी योगदान दे सकते हैं।
Welcoming Trump, Modi said a new history is being created and asserted that foundations of new alignments, challenges, opportunities and changes are being laid.
इंडस्ट्री 4.0 के इस दौर में भारत में डिजिटल इकोनॉमी का विस्तार अमेरिका के लिए भी निवेश के अनेक मौके बनाएगा। मिस्टर प्रेसिडेंट, बीते दशकों में डिजिटल इकोनॉमी में भारत और अमेरिका के संबंधों को शेप करने में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। भारतीय टैलेंट और अमेरिकी टेक्नोलॉजी ने इस क्षेत्र को नई लीडरशिप दी है।
US President Donald Trump arrived at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Airport in Ahmedabad on Monday on his maiden two-day visit to India. He is accompanied by First Lady Melania, daughter Ivanka, son-in-law Jared Kushner, and the top brass of his administration. Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally welcomed him and US First Lady Melania Trump at the airport. They were also accorded the Guard of Honor at the airport. Both leaders then participated in a 22-kilometer-long Grand India Road show with artists performing along the route to Sabarmati Ashram. Many people, including students from Ahmedabad and different parts of Gujarat, arrived for the spectacle as troops showed cultural performances. Artists from almost all states performed during the road show. Each state's artists performed on separate stages that had been erected at regular intervals on the route. US President Trump and US First Lady Melania also visited Sabarmati Ashram and tried their hand on the charkha at Hriday Kunj. President Trump was gifted a spinning wheel, 2 books on the life and times of Mahatma Gandhi, and a portrait of the father of the nation. Before leaving, Trump wrote a message in the visitor's book of the ashram. To my great friend, Prime Minister Modi, thank you for this wonderful visit. wrote Trump and signed the message. It was also signed by Melania. Now let's connect with our news correspondent Panchanan Mishra and gather more information on President Trump's visit. Panchanan, today he received a grand welcome. Trump received a grand welcome here in Ahmedabad. How is the day planned for tomorrow?
First of all, let me tell you that this was a really unprecedented and magnificent show. Namaste Trump was there in Motera Stadium. And entire Ahmedabad was jubilant. And what Donald Trump said about Prime Minister Narendra Modi is quite unprecedented, as no president of US had said any such a beautiful things about any Prime Minister of India. So the Trump highlighted that India is living in a diverse society, but it's progressing very well. He praises on the economic front, he praises on the diversity front, and also the intellect of Indian people living in USA and in different parts of the countries. So it was a sense of pride was there among the Gujaratis and among the Indians through this Namaste Trump. And as far as the question of your is concerned regarding tomorrow, the President Donald Trump has reached to Delhi, and he is staying in Delhi this night. And tomorrow morning he will, first of all, he will go to Rashtrapati Bhavan. He will be given a guard of honor. That's the official thing. And then after he will visit to Rajghat to pay homage to lay wreath at Rajghat to Mahatma Gandhi. And then after the business meeting will start, and in Hyderabad House there will be a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and we are expecting that important deals will be finalized there, as President Trump has announced already that there will be $3 billion deal in the terms of defense. So this is the whole program, and in evening he will meet CEOs of the companies. And tomorrow night there will be a reception, there will be a dinner in the honor of Trump and the family. So this is the whole program for tomorrow, all scheduled. It's a very important visit in the terms of relationship between both the countries, and the personal bonding between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Donald Trump is quite visible here, and it's a newly historical chapter in the relationship between two countries.
Thank you so much, Panchanan, for all that information. Going ahead, US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visited the iconic Taj Mahal in Agra. President Trump and the First Lady strolled at the Taj complex, all the while being briefed about the history and the importance of the monument. US President Donald Trump wrote a message in the visitor's book at the Taj Mahal. It said, I quote, Taj Mahal inspires awe, a timeless testament to the rich and diverse beauty of Indian culture. Thank you, India. The US President and First Lady arrived in Agra after wrapping up their Ahmedabad visit. Hundreds of artists welcomed America's first couple at the airport with beautiful performances reflecting the rich culture of Uttar Pradesh. En route to Agra, US President Trump took to Twitter and tweeted in Hindi. He wrote that both nations are working towards strengthening their citizens and make their future brighter than ever. US President Donald Trump arrived in the national capital on Monday for the final leg of his two-day visit to India. President Trump will be accorded a ceremonial reception at Rashtrapati Bhavan on Tuesday morning. He will lay a wreath at Mahatma Gandhi's Samadhi at Rajghat. President Trump will then hold restricted and delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Hyderabad House. He is leading a high-level 12-member delegation. All issues including defense, security and trade are expected to come up during the talks between Prime Minister Modi and the US President. The US President will meet his Indian counterpart Ram Nath Kovind later in the evening. With this, we'll halt in for a quick break, but we'll be back soon. Stay tuned with us.
What is Panel of Vice Chairman? Panel of Vice Chairman in Rajya Sabha consists of senior MPs. In the absence of presiding officers, a member from the Panel of Vice Chairman presides over the proceedings of the House.
The Qutub complex in Mehrauli is not just a place that houses the eponymous Minar, but also a landmark that represents one's ruler's desire to build an even taller structure that could have overshadowed even the Qutub Minar. Alauddin Khilji, who called himself Sikandar-e-Sani or the second Alexander, had commissioned the construction of Alai Minar. Though the work had begun on the structure opposite Qutub, due to death of Khilji, the construction was abandoned, never to be taken up by any other ruler. Even in its incomplete state, the magnitude of Alai Minar is awe-inspiring. It stands a lot wider at the base than Qutub Minar, and though just one story exists, it stands 80 feet, one-third the size of older counterpart. Probably the only unfinished monument in Delhi is a marvel to behold, for nothing induces more wonder than a strong first step with an illusion of how great things could have been.
Welcome back. You're still with us on News Tonight. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu on Monday urged the world community to take strong action against the countries which are promoting terrorism. Addressing the 32nd annual convocation of Goa University, Naidu said that India aims at peaceful coexistence with all its neighbors. He said that countries involved in aiding, training and funding terrorism must stop such activities and urged the global community to take strong action against the countries promoting terrorism.
Peaceful coexistence. And we are a country, we want to have peaceful coexistence with all, including with our troubling neighbor, who is aiding, abetting, funding, training terror, day in and day out. But first they must give up terror. They should not meddle in the internal affairs of our country and then encourage the terrorists. Terror is the enemy of humanity. Let the world come together and take strong action on those nations which are erring and which are aiding, funding, training terrorism.
Naidu also said that there is no place for violence in a democracy and advised youth to move forward with positivity and creativity.
In this convocation today, we must all be committed to peace. We must eschew violence in whatever manner it is. I will come to it a little later. The fundamental structure reforms must continue. And we must all focus on inclusive growth. Growth only in certain areas is not what is required. Inclusive growth. Every section of the society must be partners in the developmental story of the country.
Expressing happiness over the fact that India is now the 5th largest economy in the world, the Vice President said that India is on the path to become $5 trillion economy.
As you are all aware, the GDP of 2.9 trillion, India is now 5th largest economy in the world, and we are planning to become third largest economy in the world. The World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Asian Development Bank, everybody is saying if India moves with this speed, it will become third largest economy in the world. There may be temporary recession, don't worry, worldwide it is there.
Schools in Kashmir reopened on Monday after remaining shut for nearly 7 months following the abrogation of Article 370. The schools were closed due to protests and security reasons. The government had made several efforts last year to reopen the school in a phased manner, but it failed to bear any fruit as the parents kept their wards at home due to apprehensions about their safety. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme on Monday completed 1 year of its implementation. The scheme was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh on 24th February last year. The scheme was launched to increase the income of farmers. It aims to help farmers by providing them income support of Rs 6,000 per year. It has benefited 8.45 crore farmers against a targeted 14 crore across India.
जैविक खेती का भी रकबा हम देखेंगे तो लगभग 6 लाख हेक्टेयर के आसपास भूमि जैविक खेती के दायरे में आ गई है। एक्सपोर्ट बढ़े, इस दिशा में भी बल दिया जा रहा है और पीएम किसान योजना का लाभ सभी किसानों को मिले, इस दिशा में समग्र प्रयास किए जा रहे हैं।
And now let's talk about environment and climate change. The G20 group of major economies have warned against the threat of the financial system posed by the climate emergency. Overcoming objections from the US administration, G20 finance ministers and central bank governors in the meeting held in Saudi Arabia on 23rd February issued a statement with reference to climate change. Key priority areas of the G20's Financial Stability Board included examining the implications of global heating for financial stability. Concerns about the economic risk caused from rising global temperatures and extreme weather conditions have risen up the agenda among world leaders, central bankers and financiers in recent years.
Included as a top risk for
The World Health Organization chief said on Monday that the world should be working harder to contain the spread of the deadly new coronavirus and should be preparing for a potential pandemic. WHO chief said that so far the WHO does not consider the outbreak that has killed more than 2,600 people a pandemic, but said countries should be doing everything they can to prepare for a potential pandemic. Globally, a total of 78,810 people had been infected with the novel coronavirus in 29 countries and 2,462 had died as on 23rd February, according to the WHO. Among the total confirmed cases, 1,769 are from 28 countries outside of China. 12 people have died and up to 61 have been infected with the new coronavirus in Iran, announced on Monday. Jordan has also barred entry of citizens of China, Iran and South Korea and other foreigners travelling from those countries. Italy has reported third death from the coronavirus. With 152 cases, the numbers of infections are rising rapidly and have forced it to check the spread of the disease. Meanwhile, South Korea also reported 161 new cases of the COVID-19, bringing the total number of infected patients in the country to 763. South Korea has also closed the parliament to disinfect the buildings a day after raising its infectious disease alert to the highest level. And with this, it's a wrap on this edition of News Tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.